Hey guys, it's Adam aka Swimming Bird, and welcome to Minecraft. We've got a lot of news to talk about this week, including the full release of version 1.9.2. We'll cover everything that's different, and also why the developers decided to change that 1 to a 2. But first off, we've got some Minecraft 1.10 news to start. So if you guys watched the last video I did with Minecraft, we learned about the new mob that's coming in 1.10, the bear, and I'll put a link at the top of the description if you happen to miss that. Well, lead developer Jeb had some more news to share. On Twitter, he said, "This may be an odd little detail, but it makes a big difference and is the first screenshot from Minecraft 1.10 for the PC, and here it is. As you can see, things are not quite the same in the Nether." I know a lot of people were thinking the lighting was maybe different, like glowstone was a little bit brighter on the ground, but the answer is right there in front of us. As you can see, there's a new mob here that's not usually in this place. Jeb said on Reddit, Endermen are planewalkers who can now reach the Nether as well. And by big difference, I think he means the fact that if you're trying to get to the end, you're going to need to go to the Nether. Obviously, you want to get those blaze rods to make blaze powder, but you also need ender pearls and then the ender eyes. So trying to get those can be a little tough. I've done some time challenges before, and that's always a really hard portion of the challenge, is getting enough endermen and ender pearls to make the eyes of ender. So if you can just go into the Nether, these guys are gonna stick out like sore thumbs amongst the pigmen, and you could probably get your eyes of ender much faster and progress to the end of the game. So I think it's a nice change, and it's a nice little addition. We also have a few other planned features that we know about in 1.10 already. Like they're gonna add, or they're gonna remove the limit on numerical block IDs, so we'll probably get a bunch of new blocks, I'm assuming, or just there's more room for changing stuff around in the future. And then also block states, they're going to be a little simpler, so you can use them with set block, like you could summon in or set a piece of blue wool without having to know the number. You just write blue wool instead of wool 11 or whatever, you know, the number code is it for it. So it's a nice addition to simplify things for players. So 1.9.2, let's talk about that here. We got 1.9.2 because 191 came out, and then they realized there were some connection issues with Realms, so they had to put out another update, and this is the one that we have now. And the release picture was actually updated a little bit. The normal picture they had was pretty much the same, except it didn't have this weird crafting recipe here. This isn't actually a recipe that you can use, but it's a little play on the fact that in 1.9.2 you can hear sound effects for the elytra wings when you fly around, so there's jukeboxes around there. But I noticed the redstone in the inventory. This is developer Serge who put this out. It kind of looks like musical notes. I think it's probably supposed to just mirror his wings, having that cape texture, which in the future we're still going to get the ability to have custom elytra textures. They just haven't said when we can upload them like skins. And then of course, if you look at his hotbar, they always love to put different amounts of items to tease certain dates and stuff. So who knows, but there's probably some secrets in there that people can figure out. But we got 192, and it is pretty much identical to the pre-releases for 191, except a few key differences. We still have the elytra sound effects, we've got armor toughness, shields will no longer take damage from blocking weak attacks of 1.5 hearts or less. The AI is improved, there's an increased tick limit, all that stuff. You can check out that video with the bears in it to to hear the rest of the 1.91 features that were already established. But in 192, you'll notice something about our attacks. The little crosshair is on with the sword, so you can see by default the attack indicator for the crosshair version will be on for players. So it's a little bit easier if you don't know what's going on with the attack speed and cooldown to know that something is a little different with attacking. But the only problem with this is if you've already played a previous 1.9 version, like most of you guys out there I'm sure, you actually have to manually enable it in the options like you normally would, or delete your options text from your Minecraft folder. So most players are not going to have this turned on by default because of that, but it is a thing that the community asked for because it makes it a little easier to understand this new system. And then they also went back, this is very important, they went back on all of those changes. The combat is now, well, not back on the changes from 1.9, obviously, but the changes from 1.9.1, they tried to introduce a bunch of stuff where you could attack a little faster and things, but it messed with the whole system that they set up with the combat update, and it kind of invalidated it. At times, click spamming was faster to kill enemies than timing your attacks, so they luckily stuck to their guns. I think a lot of people were hoping they would go back to it because they came up with this combat system in 1.9, and they wanted to try to make combat a little better and less spammy, but then trying to go back on it and find a middle ground, it just messed things up. So they've reverted things to the 1.9 version of combat, and also you're not able to disable the weak attacks and stuff in the options and everything like that. They took that out. They're sticking with their guns, and I think that's the right decision. I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but at the same time, they changed combat for reasons, and they're trying to keep it how it was. So there's that. And one last thing too. Now this is a little change that I don't think is actually in the game, but I'll mention it nonetheless. So skeletons are actually supposed to shoot less quickly on easy difficulty and normal difficulty than they would on hard. So we'll go into survival mode, and you guys can see the skeleton's gonna start shooting me. We should set it to night so that he can, well, he's going after me now. As soon as I get into my text, that's when he attacks. So we are on easy difficulty right now, and you can see he's attacking once every couple seconds or so. So not too quickly, moderately slow, but still he's strafing around. He's trying to outmaneuver me. But if we set the difficulty here to hard, you can see it doesn't seem like he really attacks any faster. He still spaces them a bit. So this change, if it was intended to be different, it doesn't seem that way to me. But that's just my personal experience here. As you guys can see, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything different. He even hit himself next to that shield knockback. All right, so that's actually it for 1.9.2. I'm sure we're gonna keep getting the tried to fly away, but we can't. We're gonna get the more changes and news for 1.10. I did want to mention once again too, the little Elytra launcher here was made by a YouTuber named GT Experience. This is a fun way to fly around, and I've been using it a little bit. It's a good way to sky pace when I'm talking about new features. So this is a fun little thing. Pretty easy to build too in survival. Whoosh! You can hear those Elytra sound effects well. I got an arrow right in my ear, but that's all right. We're gonna keep flying. So yeah, more 1.10 news in the future, and also we did get 1.RV, the pre-release, and I'll cover that in a future video. There's too much to talk about there, so I'll have that this weekend for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this, maybe subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time for more Minecraft.